I just asked AI, when are we going to see an XRP supply shock, considering all of the ETF approvals and also how the ETFs have been performing? And what I got back is actually quite shocking. We're going to be addressing this. We're going to be talking about it. But first, let's address a few things because we've been hearing about a supply shock happening on XRP for a bit of time now. I would argue since about roughly the summertime. And, with a supply shock for, a project like XRP, a lot of people will just immediately look at the supply and say there's absolutely no way a supply shock can happen. But this is the difference between XRP and most other projects in this space that have a large supply. Number one, there's a lot of XRP escrowed. There's 34 plus billion XRP in escrow right now. Yes, Ripple will continuously release a certain amount every single month. We know that this is the case. However, XRP is a little bit different in the sense of even outside of the Ripple escrowed amount, you also have public companies lining up. You also have institutional players that want to lock up XRP. You also have liquidity pools on the XRP ledger that are also locking up a certain amount of XRP. And then you also have retail buying XRP. You have a big network effect just based off of that alone, not even thinking about utility, not even thinking about institutional DeFi initiatives, things like that. XRP is in a unique position because of how much demand there is for XRP that also heightens the probability of a supply shock happening. Now, when it comes back to XRP, the biggest thing that everyone has been saying is, public supply is dropping in a big way. And that mainly goes back to exchanges and how much supply exchanges have. Again, going off of the balance alone, these are the top wallets. We could see, and by the way, exchanges, there's multiple exchanges here. Like we could go and look down the list. But the main thing that we're looking at with a lot of these exchanges is that, there's really not a crazy amount of XRP on a lot of these exchanges. Even Binance only has a little over 2 billion compared to, other projects that have a massive, pool of tokens on some of these exchanges. It's interesting to see how much supply is getting eaten away. Real quick before we continue on with the video, DCENT Wallet is having their largest sale of the year, up to 40% off. If you want to secure your crypto on a cold storage device, now is the best time to lock in on a DCENT Wallet, where a single pack is 30% off and a double pack is up to 40% off. Even if you have a DCENT Wallet already, maybe you have a friend or a family member in crypto that also wants to store their crypto on a cold storage device to ensure that it is fully secure. Why not buy them this for the holiday season? If you guys do want to go and get this deal right now, there's going to be a link down in the description below. This is the largest sale of the year. This won't be back for another year. So if you guys want to lock in now, it's the best time. Now, with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. And with Binance, we can actually track that over here from Crypto Quant. So just going back a whole year ago, right, we could see that at times there was like over 3+ billion XRP in reserves. Today, this has fallen to about like 2.7 billion. And if we're looking at the all-time view here, is this around like the average? Sure, it is. However, this is a very significant low amount of reserves on a public exchange, one of the largest public exchanges, by the way. I mean, year to date, we could see the supply on Binance falling in a big way, even when the price is falling as well. And if it's not just Binance as well, like even if we're going off of some of these additional names, let's just go off of like Bithumb for an example, right? So this one is starting to see increased reserves. We could see it, jumping over time. However, if we look at, just like the last week or so, we could see 1.8 billion. This fell slightly. I know that this is not like a massive drop or anything like that. It's only like a couple million, but we're still starting to see, the supply on these exchanges getting eaten a bit. Bithumb is very small compared to some of these other exchanges, but it's still one to look at. On Bitfinex, we see a very sharp drop here as well. I mean, Bitfinex only has about like 47 million XRP left in reserves. but we could just track this across the board, even BitGet as well. BitGet just recently had a big spike here, but they only have like 100 some million. So across the board, I mean, outside of just a few of these exchanges, I mean, Bybit, we've been seeing a fall on Bybit as well. This is the year to date. This is the 1 year. This is the all time as well. Again, almost every single one of these exchanges is seeing a drop in reserves. And I find it very interesting to really kind of track this because, again, it's not going to happen all at once, but over time, we're going to continuously see the amount of reserves dropping and dropping and dropping because, again, we're starting to see the supply getting eaten more and more. Now, again, it goes back to the ETF flows. The ETF flows have been very, very bullish. In fact, Chad Steingraber did put out a great post regarding the Franklin Templeton's day one flows. So we have about 32 million XRP now in assets under management on just day one. Total for the day, about 79.2 million XRP taken because, again, this is 32 million in USD. So overall, about 79 million XRP taken off of public supply. We have over here 80 million XRP taken in assets under management per day, 400 million in 1 week, 1.6 billion in 1 month, 19.2 billion in just 1 year. By the way, this is just from one name. Now, obviously, this is a little bit inaccurate because we're not going to see this amount of demand every single day, but it goes to show you that, if we do continuously see a significant amount of demand for these ETF products, the supply is going to get eaten away. So I did ask AI, analyzing the XRP ETF inflows over the last 7 trading days, because again, it's not the last 7 days itself, the last 7 trading days. How long will it take for a supply shock to become a reality? And we have over here, and this is what Grok said. Based on recent market data as of November 27th, XRP spot ETFs have seen explosive growth since their launches in mid-November. The last 7 trading days, November 18th through the 26th, excluding weekends, reflects a surge driven by new products from issuers like Franklin Templeton, Grayscale, Bitwise, and Canary Capital. Cumulative inflows since inception now exceed 587 to 622 million across 10 trading days, with the most recent week accounting for roughly 60 to 70% of the total, 350 million to 430 million. This pace outstrips Solana ETFs by 568 million over 20 plus days and signals strong institutional rotation into XRP amid broader crypto outflows. Daily inflows they averaged about 50 million per trading day in this period, but with variability peaking at 164 million on November 25th, with Franklin and Grayscale debuting, and dipping to 35.41 million on November 26th. Here's a breakdown of estimated daily net inflows aggregated across major ETFs sourced from Soso Value, CoinGlass, and issuer reports. So, estimated daily inflow, we could see here, they're in, 35 to 40 million on November 18th, November 19th, 45 to 50 million, November 20th, 50 to 55 million, again, the 21st, 35 to 40, the 24th, 89 to 100, 164 on the 25th, and then November 26th was 35.41 million. And we see here the amount locked. Okay, so the 7-day total was 354 to 424 million. That's 200 to 250 million XRP locked. Okay, that's in just 7 days. Even on the low end, let's just say, okay, we'll just go off of 200 million. Now, it's not 200 million every single week because, again, every single week, we only have 5 trading days. At most, we do still have holidays and things like that. But we'll just go off of the average. We'll even cut this down by 50 million. We'll say 150 million per week. That's still, again, we're talking about in a 5-day period, every single week, based off 150 million. 750 million XRP every single week. That is roughly 3 billion every single month, 36 billion per year. Now, we have to take that with a grain of salt because, again, a lot of this, it's all determined by numbers still being consistent across the board. Things will change. But if we're looking at exchange reserves tightening, because we even have here exchange reserves like Binance have dropped 40% since mid-November, signaling early supply tightening. If we're looking at, how this supply shock becomes a reality, and if we're looking at the time frame here, okay, it can happen in a very short-term time frame. We have here short-term, optimistic, and also they have the pessimistic views as well. 7 to 27 days if OTC pools dry up and open market buying starts. Recent expos highlight 149 million XRP withdrawn from exchanges in 24 hours alone. With 4 to 5 ETFs already live, at current rates, liquid supply could hit critical lows by mid-December. The base case, 3 to 6 months, about Q1 to Q2 2026, with 18 to 19 pending ETFs. Annual inflows could reach 7 to 10 billion. This absorbs 27 to 33 billion XRP a year, over 50% of circulating supply, unless prices rise to throttle demand. E.g., $45 per XRP halves annual absorption to 746 million tokens. Exchange supply could vanish in 6 to 9 months at 50 million per day per major ETF. The longer term here, this is conservative. This is the conservative outlook. 6 to 12 months if inflows moderate to 33.6 billion annually. However, ISO 22 compliance, again, I don't really care about a few of these factors, but they could accelerate banking adoption, amplifying demand. Now, again, yes, we could still see institutional adoption. We could still see a lot more use of XRP utility really, heating up. That could accelerate a lot of this. But if we're looking at the scenarios here, again, aggressive, time to shock 1 to 3 months. This is based off of monthly inflow projection 600 to 800 million. Potential price impact 10 to 20 initial squeeze. Key assumption 5+ new ETFs launch. Retail FOMO joins. The base, this is sustained ETF growth, 400 to 600 million. 3 to 6 months, Q1 to Q2 2026, $20 to $90. Supply halves absorption. 12 to 18 ETFs active OTC depletes. And then, of course, we do have the conservative, which is where I'm more so looking at. So 200 to 400 million monthly inflows projected. 6 to 12 months, second half of 2026. $5 to $15 gradual tightening. Macro headwinds, e.g. Bitcoin dip, partial redemptions. So if we're looking at what's happening here, just going off of a few of the factors, I mean, we have the Grok analysis here. 3 to 6 months would be the supply shock time frame. But I would say 6 to 12 months respectively. I mean, obviously that's me being very conservative, but these ETF products have been very successful. And we have been seeing a big drop in exchange reserves. I mean, even based off of some of the few factors that we've already seen, I mean, it's crazy, but this is becoming a reality. Like, a supply shock is becoming a reality on XRP. And I know that sounds wild because, again, for the longest time, we've been told, like, no, there's no chance that an XRP supply shock could happen. No, it definitely can. Unless we see the price going up significantly, a supply shock is inevitable. And already, I mean, guys, these ETFs have been clocking in massive, massive numbers. And we also have another one upcoming on November 28th. So yeah, I mean, by the time that this video goes live, I mean, this will already be trading live. This is another one from 21 Shares. They have 8 billion in assets under management. So these ETFs are just continuously eating up supply at the same exact time that reserves on major exchanges like Binance are starting to drop. I mean, this is becoming a reality. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.